Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. We are happy to welcome you to the Secrets of a Productive Practice, and very thankful that you joined us today. And we're just going to give folks a couple more minutes here to join. It's about a little after 11 here Mountain Time right now. And so we'll be back on maybe about 11:03 Mountain Time, and then we'll get started. All right. Well, I think we get started here. And thanks again, everybody, for joining us. My name is Peter Jackson, and I'm the product marketing campaign manager for Easy Dental. And we are very lucky to be joined today by Denise Cardello. I'll introduce her in a moment. And in addition to Denise, we have our marketing campaign manager, Alan Crow, with us, as well as our product manager, Jay Wood. And they can bring even more expertise to the webinar. So thanks again for joining us. And if you have any questions at any time during the presentation, please feel free to submit those using the Q&A widget. And we'll either get a chance to answer those questions via chat, address them at the end of the presentation, or if neither of those, we'll go ahead and send you an email following the presentation, make sure all your questions get answered. So without further ado, let me introduce our presenter for today. Denise is the co-founder of Global Team Solutions, and she is a professional speaker, a published author, and a certified trainer. She has many years of experience with helping many dental practices with various changes to increase their productivity, and this makes her a very perfect speaker for this topic. So it's a privilege to have her here today, and I will now turn the time over to her.
Thank you, Peter, for that wonderful introduction, and thanks for having me here today. Get to the right slide. Today, our topic is Secrets of a Productive Practice, and we're going to be touching on various processes that typically occur in the dental office. Some people refer to these as protocols. Some people refer to them as processes or systems. So I may interchange these words throughout today's webinar, just so that people don't get too confused. Why do we review or focus on our processes? Well, that answer is pretty easy. If we don't, then an office just doesn't run very smoothly. And if an office isn't running smoothly on a regular basis, there becomes this distinct negative feeling in the office. Today, every day is a hurdle, which in turn generates a loss of energy, and there could be a downshift in morale, which results in a slump in momentum and ultimately affects the bottom line, the production of the office. If an employee doesn't know what to expect when they go to work every day, and they begin to dread going to work, there are feelings of frustration within the team, inadequacy kind of marching in place, and embarrassment because patients begin to lose trust in the dental office's abilities. One of the best methods for maintaining effective, efficient systems is to review your protocols often. I find that when an office takes the time to do this, production continues to increase and there's a harmonious, positive aura in the office. And isn't that really the type of environment we really all want to work in? So today we're going to go over the secrets of productive practice. And I've yet to find an office that's not looking for ways to increase their production. And if I could sum it up in a real secret, it's to be consistent, doing the same thing every day with every patient. I remember when I worked in an office, there were patients that I absolutely adored. I was so excited to see their names on the schedule for that day. And if the truth be told, that was usually most of our patients. However, there were that few that I dreaded. And I know you know what I'm talking about, and you could probably name those patients in your database. So when I talk about consistency, it's more that I'm talking about those dreaded patients that we need to have consistent systems with. It's easy to have great customer service with patients that you adore. It's not so easy for those that are a little bit more difficult. But we want to give them great customer service. It's not always easy, but it's very important. When I was asked to present this webinar for you today, I was asked to give my top 3 secrets. But I couldn't stop at 3, and I went on to 4. So the 4 top processes that we will be diving into today will include a profitable schedule, recall, reactivation, and retention. Can't really talk about processes in a dental office without talking about recall. Strategies for improved case acceptance, and productive team meetings. Let's wrap it all up with some excellent communication within the office. Before we get started, I would like to know who I am speaking with. I can't see any of you, so I'd like to start off with a poll of what your main role is in the office. Many of you may wear different hats in the office, but I'm just looking for what your main role is. And if you could answer this survey question, please.
Denise? We seem to have lost Denise.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
I'm here.
Not sure if you're on mute there.
Sorry. Okay. So did we hear what the results were? Okay. All right. So scheduling appointments. It's easy. Just open the appointment book or turn on the computer and start plopping appointments in, right? You don't want the doctor to see any holes in the schedule, so you simply plug in a patient wherever there's a space. At the end of the day, the entire team is exhausted from seeing a bunch of patients only to find that production was really next to nothing. Day after day, it seems as though you're walking in circles. You and your team are working your tails off, but you're not making any headway toward achieving your office's goals. It can be a challenge to balance the need to keep the appointment book full and the desire to have every day be productive. Smart scheduling, in my opinion, must be methodical and systematic. Let's talk about some simple techniques that will help you reach your goals without feeling exhausted at the end of the day. The first secret that we're going to be covering is profitable scheduling. Setting a goal, number one, is setting goals. Setting a goal is a huge first step to maintaining a profitable schedule. How do you know what you're working for if there's not a predetermined goal? Every hygienist and every doctor's schedule should have a daily goal. The daily goal is determined by the overhead of the practice. What does it take to keep the lights on? If you're not scheduling towards a goal, what are you scheduling toward just to keep the office appointment book full? One of the ways to keep working toward that goal is to use your block booking. This is a technique that I don't see in a lot of offices, but those that do adhere to it find it incredibly liberating. Block booking consists of just the right balance of high, medium, and low production procedures so that you have a perfect day every day. Is it going to change? Absolutely. But at least you have guidelines, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of where to put the different types of appointments. In most practices, the highest production is scheduled at the beginning of the day. Your doctor is going to want to have a say in the formatting of the ideal day, so be sure to have this discussion before you set it up. I have seen offices where the doctor prefers the highest production to be right after lunch or right before lunch. So this is an important conversation to have with the doctor to see when he or she feels the most energetic and wants to do the highest production activities or procedures. There should also be time blocks for scaling and route planning. Have you ever had an SRP diagnosed but can't get the patient in for weeks because you have a hygienist that is so fabulous at pre-appointing? That's great for the hygiene schedule, but it's not so good for that perio patient that has just been educated on the fact that he has periodontal disease and he needs to take care of that right now. So put a block in the hygiene schedule for SRPs. What about new patients? Ideally, you'll want to have an appointment to offer a new patient within 48 hours of the initial phone call. If you're unable to get a new patient in, or if you are unable to get a new patient in for 4 to 6 weeks, you run the risk of that new patient finding an office that can get them in a little bit sooner. So this would require to have a new patient time block built into your schedule. It's important to ensure that everyone holds fast to the time blocks. These are sacred times, not to be ignored because a patient wanted that 8 o'clock appointment to deliver that crown. Keep the time block open and available for its original intent for 24 or 48 hours, whatever the office's preferences are, before the day. When you use block booking in Easy Dental, you can easily move the blocks around within that operatory, but you will still have the same amount of production every day. So it's not like you're tied to a specific time only for these blocks. They can be moved around, but that will ensure that you have the same amount of time that you produce every day. Continue to look at the schedule while keeping a close eye on the next 2 days. If there are any openings in hygiene or on the doctor's schedule, make everyone aware of it when you have your daily huddle. That way, people can focus on the times that are available. The doctor may say, hey, this patient needs to have a crown, and let's see, I think we may have some time available this week. That puts the bug in the patient's head that they might be able to get this done sooner rather than later. Next week comes secondary to today, tomorrow, or the next day. It's great to have a strong, complete schedule for next Thursday, but you can pretty much guarantee it's going to change quite a bit between now and then. Our schedules tend to be pretty fluid. What causes the biggest headache in your schedule? Cancellations, no-shows, emergencies? Put a plan in place to handle those. Take the guesswork out. We like to recommend that the assistant call out 2 times during the morning huddle for emergencies for that day. That way, when Mr. Smith calls with a swollen jaw, he can be told that the doctor can see him at 10:40 or 3:15. It totally takes the guesswork out of when to schedule that appointment. A practice's schedule depends on a strong scheduling system. Every practice has a schedule, but not every practice has a scheduling system. Smart scheduling should be methodical, systematic, to keep the practice in line with its goals. The next key area of a productive practice is recall. A successful recall system is essential to your dream practice. It is the foundation on which your practice has to be built, otherwise it cannot survive. All businesses rely on return customers, and in our case, return patients. Practices worry all the time about how many new patients are coming in to the practice, when in my opinion, they really should worry about how many are walking out the back door. How many patients are not being retained in order to get these new patients? A good recall system needs to be implemented if we want our practice to prosper. Let's look at some ways that we can create a solid recall system. It begins with knowing your database. What is your recall ratio? What percentage of your active patients are coming in on a regular basis for their recall appointments? The industry standard is 85%. A lot of times when I ask offices that, they'll say, we want 100% of our recall patients coming back in, and that's great. But the industry standard is 85%. And I find that most dental offices, it's more in the 60 to 70% range. You can determine this number by dividing the total number of active patients by the number of recall patients for the same period of time. How do you keep your patients in active recall? One word, pre-appointing. For some reason, there's a philosophy out there that discourages pre-appointing recall patients for their next cleaning. An active pre-appointing system is far more productive and creates a superior recall system that will improve the efficiency of any dental office. Practices that are committed to pre-appointing in the correct manner will swear by the benefits of this. You will have some type of offices that do not want to pre-appoint. I find that a lot of Medicaid offices are not as keen on pre-appointing. And you need to know your database in order to determine if pre-appointing is the right thing for you. But for the most part, I find that it is an exceptional way of keeping your recall system strong. You will have patients that might reschedule their appointments when it gets closer to the 6-month appointment time, and that's okay. At least they're calling you and you're not having to track them down. But what happens to those patients that do not pre-appoint? Well, in 6 months, someone gets the daunting task of running the report and calling these patients or sending correspondence of some sort, an email or a text message out to them to let them know that they're due to come see you. This is one of the most hated jobs because there's very little reward for so much work. Statistically, only 1 in 20 calls are considered successful, that you actually get a hold of a patient. An effective recall system needs to get personally in touch with your patients at the right time of day, which is not necessarily the best time of day for your patients. Do you see why I'm such a fan of pre-appointing? And it tends to be a lot more efficient for dental offices to do it this way. The beautiful thing is that when you complete appointments in the schedule at Easy Dental, it gives you the guidelines to go right into scheduling the next recall appointment, making this task a no-brainer for pre-appointing hygiene visits. We recommend that postcards, emails, and text messages be sent out 3 to 4 weeks ahead of scheduled appointments. This reminder gives patients sufficient time to reschedule their appointments if necessary, and it gives the appointment coordinator sufficient time to repair any openings in the schedule. For those patients that did not pre-appoint, we recommend a system within the system. When you reach out to those patients again at a month prior to their appointment, then what do you do after that? What is the system for continuing to reach out to your patients? In my experience, in most offices, a reminder will go out a month prior to their due date, and that's about it. I was having a conversation with a doctor just yesterday who said he didn't want to bother patients. He didn't want to bug them and tell them that, or keep reminding them to come in. Do you realize that my vet sends me a postcard out whenever my dog is due for her shots? And if I don't pick up the phone and make an appointment, the vet sends me another postcard the next month, and then the next month, and then the next month for an eternity until I pick up the phone and make a call to schedule my dog for her shots. I don't find it as annoying. I find it as a reminder. And if I found it as annoying, it would only be because of the fact that I feel guilty for not doing what I need to be doing. And that's probably the same thought pattern for patients who are due for their recall appointments that are getting these reminders. Don't let your patients fall through the cracks. Don't give up on them. Continue to reach out to them. Create a system for reminding your patients that are due for their recall appointments. And finally, you have an entire database full of patients who have probably not crossed your threshold in years. And chances are they haven't been to another dentist since the last time they saw you. Find them, call them, and welcome them back. First step is to get all your resources working and all in the same direction. Your software contains reports to tell you who these patients are and how to locate them. Do you realize that it is 3 times more costly to go out there and try to find a new patient than to reactivate a previous patient of record? You probably already have some sort of contact information on them, and they already know where your location is. They already know who your doctor is. They know information about the office. Let's get them back in and get that reactivation campaign going. The next secret that I have for a productive practice is improving on the treatment acceptance. Wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a world where the doctor said, "Mr. Patient, you need a crown," and the patient said, "Okay, can we do it now?" No questions asked, no balking at the cost or the need, or asking for opinions or second opinions or alternate treatment. Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But that's not reality. Our reality is that the benefits need to be explained to our patient before they will accept the treatment. If we're not selling, I consider selling more along the lines of trying to convince someone of something to buy that they don't necessarily need. We're not telling them that they need a crown because they have a cracked tooth for no reason. We're telling them because we don't want them to be in pain. We don't want their condition of their mouth to get worse. Our patients need to do the treatment, which makes it our job to help them understand the why, the how, and the how much. So the third secret I have for a productive practice is increasing treatment acceptance. The goal of every case presentation is to help the patient view their oral health concerns. If the patient perceives the treatment as significant and necessary, they'll typically follow through with the acceptance. Some of the tips that we have found for higher case acceptance is, first off, educate the patient. If there's decay, tell the patient what will happen if that decay goes untreated. Is there a possibility that that decay is going to go away if they just brush harder or longer? No. It's going to get deeper, bigger, go into the dent and require a root canal possibly. That bacteria under the gums is causing the patient to have periodontal disease. It's not the need for a deeper cleaning. Call it what it is. What are the risks for leaving that treatment untreated? And we find that a lot of times an office will talk as opposed to communicate. And that's a big key here. Watch the patient's eyes and the body language. If a patient seems interested and engaged, you're on the right track. If the patient seems barely able to keep up with what you're saying in the conversation, stop talking, ask questions. Get the patient re-engaged in the conversation. Avoiding dental terms is pretty important. There are some things we can't avoid, but for the most part, there are terms we can avoid. It's decay, it's not caries. It's a two-surface filling, not an MO composite resin. The patient needs a buildup and a crown, not a cap. And the buildup is to help sustain the crown because there's not enough tooth structure. Explain what the treatment is in terms that anybody can understand. You're going to want to stay on message, stay focused on the subject at hand. Once you start going into treatment presentation, avoid the small talk about the festival in town or, Joey's wedding that's 3 weeks away or something along those lines. Stay on the dental topic. Provide clean written treatment plans with all financial details in writing. You want to keep it as short and sweet as possible and maintain a positive tone within the conversation. Present the treatment in the most private area that you have within your office. HIPAA prevents us from presenting treatment in a public manner. And you might want to consider financial conversations the same. People get real weird when they start talking about money and they don't want other people to hear their financial concerns. You'll want to customize the presentation based on the patient. Some patients want to know everything down to the size burr that you're going to be using. Listen for the hot buttons. If a patient immediately asks about the cost, maybe that's what could prevent the patient from moving forward. For me, personally, time is my hot button, which is probably what I would ask about first. How long will I be in the office? How long will I be numb? How many visits am I going to need to complete the treatment? Listen to the patient and see if you can address the area that will prevent them from moving forward. Just like with recall, following up with patients that delay treatment is a great step to treatment acceptance. And again, I would recommend a systematic and methodical manner. Many times I go into an office and I see a huge report sitting on the desk. And when I ask what that is, the answer is the doctor's schedule is looking pretty bad, so we ran the unscheduled treatment report from a year ago. I can only envision the call. Hi, Ms. Jones. This is Karen from Dr. Moeller's office. I was calling to see if you wanted to schedule that crown that Dr. Moeller told you that you needed last August. No, not this past August, but August a year ago. I don't think there's going to be very, very much acceptance with those type of phone calls. So my recommendation is to run the unscheduled treatment report a month at a time and begin with last month. We're in September. Run August. Run your report August 1st to August 31st and call those patients. I do it this way for two reasons. The report is going to be much smaller and easier to get through. When you have a great big report that you have to work through, a bit overwhelming, and it doesn't take long for that report to be obsolete because life has continued in the office. So run the report so that it's small and easy to maintain. And also, patients that had treatment diagnosed last month are going to remember that they had some fillings diagnosed. It'll be easier to schedule those patients because that treatment is still top of their mind. And then you're going to want to work backwards, 1 month at a time until you get back to 6 months. And then you stop and you begin again. At the 6-month mark, the patient should then be moved on to the recall list and be getting contacted that way. By having the patient come in for recall, the doctor will have the opportunity to have that treatment conversation with them again. Making phone calls to schedule treatment is necessary. I often call it a necessary evil to keep your patients informed about their needed treatment. By having a plan, it will be easier if you find that you have a high acceptance ratio by being methodical and systematic. And by all means, be consistent. Again, I recommend we run this report on a weekly basis and keep it close by so that you can make those phone calls often. And we've put focus on so many of our systems throughout the office. Now let's talk about communication. When we, Global Team Solutions, begins working with an office, we speak individually with each team member. We ask everyone if they have routine meetings, and the answers are usually about the same. Well, we have daily huddles, or we've tried to have daily huddles. Sometimes we have them, sometimes we don't. Team meetings, well, they're only called if the doctor needs to yell at everybody at one time. It usually is a quick meeting called at the end of the day, and after everybody's already had a pretty bad day, probably. However, from the doctor to the newest team member, the number one issue that we hear in every office is the lack of communication. It is either doctor to team, team to doctor, doctor to management, management to team, even communication with patients. Implementing routine meetings will open up the lines of communication and help your office to run more efficiently and productively. So this is my final secret to a productive practice, and it's all about meetings. The first type of meeting we like to implement is a daily huddle, a daily meeting, whatever you want to call it. Just have it. These are the most overlooked method of improving daily production and team communication that we see. Too many offices brush this valuable time off as something that they've tried, but it really didn't mean anything. It wasn't productive. It takes too much time, or worse, they can't get everybody to get to the office in time, including the doctor. First and foremost, I have yet to see a successful office that does not have a daily meeting. A precise format can be devised and followed to make these productive meetings. These meetings are not the place for whining or complaining, and I rarely see a huddle that lasts more than 10 to 15 minutes. All team members need to be present if possible. Sometimes this is difficult if you have multiple providers and you have split schedules. But I've often seen, even with schedules like that, those will work. What is covered in a daily huddle? Your treatment plan status. Who has delayed treatment that is coming in today? Who has follow-up treatment? They may be getting some treatment done, but they need to come back again because they still have more treatment after today. The doctor will have the opportunity to have that conversation with the patient about their treatment and the need for it. Recall status. Are there any patients being seen today that don't have their next recall appointment scheduled? What about family members? We could reach out and tell Mrs. Jones that, hey, we know that Susie is away at college, but spring break is coming up, and our schedule gets really booked up about that time. Can we go ahead and get her scheduled? Saves on a phone call later on. Scheduling status, any major openings in the doctor or hygiene schedule that everyone could be made aware of and assist in getting filled. Are there any financial issues with a patient on the schedule that may need to take care of a balance before they get taken back to the operatory? Emergency time slots are killers to our daily schedule, aren't they? As I mentioned earlier, we like to recommend that the assistant call out 2 times during the morning huddle for emergencies for that day. It sure takes the guesswork out of when to schedule them. Another thing that you can do in your daily huddle is to introduce your new patients to the entire dental team. Who's going to be coming in? How did they come to be a part of your practice? Who referred them? What are their special needs? And why are they changing dentists at this time in their life? You could review numbers, a quick review of numbers. Was yesterday's goal met? Are we scheduled to goal today? What have we produced and collected month to date? And what do we have on the books for the remainder of the month? And then you want to end the meeting on a positive note. Some people like to end with a motivational quote. Some like to read scripture or tell a happy, uplifting story, or just merely a yay team. Let's go. Huddle break. Our routine team meetings are very valuable, and I think that these are overlooked as well as great lines of communication within your team. A successful team doesn't just happen, it needs to be planned. So we like to see that the date and the time announced or posted well in advance of the meeting. Name the team members who need to be in attendance. Is this a departmental meeting or is it for the entire team? We recommend having an agenda posted up in the break room and encourage everyone to put ideas on the agenda. Topics may include settling different types of systems that are performed, training on a new system, going over a new system to get everyone on the same page, reviewing protocols. This is a very awesome time to do that. Take a simple, what do we do when we answer the phone, and go over it with everybody so that everybody is on the same page. Next to each topic on the agenda should be a time frame and who's going to be in charge of bringing that topic to the table. Throughout the meeting, each person is encouraged to participate. Ask that if a problem is brought to the table, that a solution accompanies it. The solution they bring doesn't need to be the final solution. We just want to encourage everyone to think of better ways to improve the practice. And always be supportive of feedback. We don't want to make fun of somebody because they may have come up with a silly idea. Sometimes those silly ideas end up working pretty well. Each meeting should end with an action plan. Tasks that are assigned to a person for their completion, and set a date for when that task should be completed. Effective meetings include strong leadership, clearly defined goals, motivated team members, achievable goals and tasks, support and respect of all team members. When the entire team is engaged, communication opens up and the creative juices really start flowing. It may take a bit of time to get everyone to participate if they're not used to having their voices heard, but give it time and they will begin to speak up. These are my secrets of a productive practice. You want to make your schedule a tool of power. You don't have to work harder to be more productive, and your schedule is the way to make that happen. Prevent your patients from falling through the cracks with a rock-solid recall system, reactivation system, and a retention system. Education and communication about treatment will increase your case acceptances. And every business has meetings. Meetings can either be dreaded and boring or productive and purposeful. Include an agenda and an action plan. Encourage everyone to participate and keep it productive and everyone accountable. I've written an eBook called 5 Ways to Increase Your Practice Productivity that you can start doing today. in this book are some of these tips that we've gone over today and some additional tidbits to help you increase productivity. And it's available to you right now for free. Click on the link on this slide to download your copy today. As I stated in the beginning, the true secret is that there is really no secret. These are steps that we know but maybe forgot from time to time. I think that the true secret is consistency, doing the same thing every day with every patient. There will be changes, and that's okay. Stay true to your systems, and you will find that you will have a productive practice.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Denise, for all the great information. We really appreciate the very interesting presentation. And, this topic always generates a lot of questions. And to remain timely, I think we're just going to go ahead and answer a few of them. But we'll definitely follow up with emails as well if there are any questions that you have that didn't get answered. I'd also like to point out on your screen there, if you see to the right, there is a survey. So please go ahead and fill that out, and we'll be sure to get you some more information as well. So I'll get started on some questions here. So the first one for Denise, do you think it's more efficient to have the recall appointment scheduled by the hygienist or by the front desk?
Mm-hmm. I like this question, and I'm asked this question often, and I strongly recommend that follow-up recall appointments are scheduled by the hygienist in the operatory. There's that sense of trust that patients have with the hygienist. When the hygienist says, let's see, your next cleaning will be due in April, how about Wednesday, April 23rd at 3 o'clock? Somehow the patient's more inclined to schedule if it's presented in that way. And I think that the patient perceives that the hygienist is concerned more about the patient's dental care, whereas the lady at the front desk is just trying to get her schedule filled. The main complaint that I hear is that the hygienist may not have enough time to do everything that they need to do. And I typically see that when the hygienist is waiting on the doctor, that's a prime time to schedule that next appointment and get it done. In most cases, it only takes a few minutes, and so it's if you find a patient that is struggling to find a right time for their schedule, then the hygienist may want to take the patient up to the front and have the appointment scheduled there. But for the most part, I like to see the follow-up, the pre-appointed recall appointments done by the hygienist.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, we just got one more, or one question just came in here. Do you agree with the 6-month plus 2-week rule to allow for quick calls?
I do. I like that. I used to do that when I worked in an office because then you could grab from people 2 weeks out that are scheduled to see if they could come in a little bit earlier if you had any last-minute openings in your schedule.
Great. All right, one more question for you here, Denise. So we try to have monthly staff meetings, but they always get taken off the schedule. What's the best way to handle this?
Okay, well, that is a big problem. I think that it is perceived as it's a value thing. People the time that is being used for meetings is not productive. I think if you find that you put out an agenda, you implement the agenda and the action plan, that you're going to find that there's a purpose for the meeting. There is actual information, great communication that occurs, and you'll find that those appointments will stay on the schedule, and those meeting times will stay on the schedule and won't be taken off.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you. And just we got one more question here, and this one's more related to the product itself. So I'm going to turn this one over to our product manager, Jay Wood here. And the question is, what are the advantages of being on a customer service plan at Easy Dental?
Hey, thanks, Peter. I really appreciate that question. I also want to say thanks to Denise. This has been a great presentation, Denise. A lot of good tips and tricks there. So this has been real good for our users, I think. So the advantages for being on a customer service plan, obviously having access, unlimited access to technical support and upgrades to the product are real benefits. But beyond that, beyond just the basic customer service plan, I think most of you know that we have the additional plans with additional electronic services. The Plus plan, which is very focused around having payment types of things, collecting payment from insurance carriers as well as guarantors. And then the Complete plan, which builds on the Plus plan to then include things like patient engagement types of things, reminders, an interactive website where patients can get on and interact, get their balances, make payments, look at their treatment plans and that sort of thing. And Easy Dental has always been a very cost-effective solution, but we think that this is an even that you need to look beyond just the original cost of the program and then look at the total cost of how much is it going to cost to put in all the e-services. And typically, as you look out in the market, you're going to see that some of the premier reminder solutions out there might charge as much as $300 a month just for their reminders. But the great news for Easy Dental customers is that you can get everything that we have to offer for just $295 a month, or go down below to the Plus plan for $195, or just the basic customer service plan for $95. But for $300, $295, you get everything, not just all of the reminders, text reminders and email reminders, even postcard reminders, but you have that patient portal on a website. You also have unlimited claims, and I just want to say that for everybody who's on this call today, we have just approved unlimited claims for the first time ever. So now when you get onto the Plus plan or the Complete plan for Easy Dental, you're going to get unlimited claims, unlimited attachments. You'll also get insurance eligibilities on the Complete plan to verify that they're eligible for insurance automatically before the appointment. So there's just so many things here that is going to help your office be more productive. That is going to the amount of time that this is going to save you in terms of just routine office work that just can be taken care of for you so that you can spend more time with patients. I think that is the real enduring value of Easy Dental. So we'd really encourage you to take a look at that. And if you'd like to hear more about it, you can say that on the survey that you have to take there. Just mention, hey, have somebody call me. I'd like to hear more about this. And again, especially for the first time ever, unlimited claims. So now's a really good time to take a look at that. So thanks for the question, Peter.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. All right. Well, we've got a bunch more questions coming in here, but I think in the sake of time, we'll just go ahead and make sure that we get those over to Denise and that we get answers for those. Either we'll make sure that you guys get a follow-up call or through email. So we really appreciate everyone showing up for the event. We got a great showing, which is always nice. And Denise, we appreciate again the presentation. It was wonderful information, and we really appreciate it. So, thanks.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.